Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am here to do my other really favorite TBR of the year, and that is my spooky season TBR. So let's shop my shelves and see what I'm reading for this spooky season. Welcome back. It's Alyssa if you're new here. Otherwise, hello again. Spooky season is upon us. I did not do a shop your shelves for September because I forgot. And then it was like the end of September and we just went with it. September was a little crazy, but we are not missing spooky season. There is no way we are missing spooky season. So we're just going to hop into this TBR. Every month I shop my shelves and find books to read for the month. I like to have a stack of books to pull from. I don't just read from that pile. It's just nice for me to have like a central location for me to go to and be like, these are the books that I am reading or I am interested in or that I was in the mood for at the start of the month. We're going to shut up and we're going to jump into some things. I finished a few things. I'm still reading a couple things, but we're going to start with some TBR Lowdown books. If you're new here and you don't know, I run a podcast with my friend, I'll put it here, with my friend Naomi, which is just all about books. And every month we pick a book that we read together and then we discuss on a live show. And this month's live is going to be October 9th at 11 a.m. I'm going to try to get this video edited and up prior to that live. And we are going to be discussing our September pick, which I'm nearly done with, and that is The Well of Loneliness by Radcliffe Hall. This is like a classic of lesbian literature. And we both had our eye on this book for quite some time and we're finally reading it. And I, as like just a prelude to, or a spoiler to Sunday's live, I'm really enjoying this book. But I know that it's not going to have a happy ending because traditionally queer lit does not have happy endings. And since this is like one of the first like overtly lesbian stories that was ever really published, it's not going to have a happy ending. I know it. I just know it in my heart. And it's just, I'm in the final book of the story and it's the dread that I'm having right now. And then our October pick is actually There by Tommy Orange. And I've had this on my shelves for a little while. I hauled this from the Book Barn. Naomi has had this for a while, and we're both very curious about this book. I know that Tommy Orange is also coming out with another book very soon, I believe. So it seems very timely to do this in October. So if you don't know what this is about, fierce, angry, funny, heartbreaking, Tommy Orange's first novel is a wondrous and shattering portrait of an America few of us have ever seen, and it introduces a brilliant new author at the start of a major career. There is a relentlessly paced, multi-generational story about violence and recovery, memory and identity, and the beauty and despair woven into the history of a nation and its peoples. It tells the story of 12 characters, each of whom has private reasons for traveling to the big Oakland powwow. Jackie Red Feather is newly sober and trying to make it back to the family she left behind in shame. Dean Oxendine, probably said that wrong, is pulling his life back together after his uncle's death and has come to work at the powwow to honor his uncle's memory. Opal Viola Victoria Bear Shield has come to watch her nephew Orville, who has taught himself traditional Indian dance through YouTube videos and has come to the powwow to dance in public for the very first time. There will be glorious communion and a spectacle of sacred tradition and pageantry. There will also be sacrifice, heroism, and unspeakable loss. Very interested in this. We did read, and we haven't discussed it yet because I think we're going to combine a few discussions together. We read Night of the Living Res by Morgan Talty, which was a new release for this year. And we realized that neither of us has read a lot of native lit, and we're not as familiar with these stories and these struggles and these perspectives. So we decided not to discuss the Night of the Living Res just yet. We kind of want to do more reading and get more like into this narrative and struggle so that we understand and we can speak more intelligently. Like we are still in like a fact collecting part of like the learning curve. This will be talked about eventually. And we're really excited to read There and to add to this, sort of journey of discovery. And I think it says a lot about how we've treated Native peoples, that like this is something that we, as people that feel like we've been exposed to a lot of things, particularly in American culture, don't feel as comfortable about speaking on, because we just don't feel like we know enough to do that. So yeah, so we're really excited to read There. If you want to read it with us, or if you've already read it, please do. And we'll announce a live. It'll probably be in like the beginning of November sometime. So you have plenty of time to read it if you want to. I've already finished this, but I read Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness, which is the second book in the All Souls trilogy, which is the like a Discovery of Witches stories. And I love Discovery of Witches. This was good. I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't really know how to talk to you guys about this, but I really like this. This series is giving me like elevated Buffy, elevated CW vampire shows, elevated all of my teenage vampire needs, mixed with some like great literary fiction and like historical fiction. And like, I feel like it's got pieces of the feelings I had while I was reading The Historian, because they're traveling around to similar sorts of places in Europe, and there's like library goodness and like dark academia themes, and I'm really loving this series. I know that not everybody loves it, but I'm waiting for the Book of Life to show up. I did order it off of Pango, so that is coming, and that is also on my list for this month, and I will finish up this trilogy. I'm really excited to finish up this trilogy. And then I know that there's a book that is like about the world of the All Souls trilogy, and then there's like a fourth book, or like a standalone book about Marcus, who is Matthew's son. But we'll get to those in another month. Those are not for this month, but I am going to wrap up this series this month. I just have the Book of Life, so I'm waiting for that. I am finishing up Leech, which was kindly sent to me by Tor.com. And this book we're going to talk about at some point, because this book is not for everybody, but I'm loving it. It is so like gothic vibes and like creepy and weird, and like there are things that are happening in this that are weird the way that The Bone Orchard was, but I feel like it's done in a much more understandable way, a much more like approachable way, tangible way, like a way that I'm getting. Like my poopy brain is understanding it better. The hive mind kind of stuff, and like the weird twisted nature of things, and like it's interesting. So basically you have this doctor who is very strange and mysterious, and he's in this like Swiss shit, like mountain feeling castle thing, that where there's this weird bug, parasite like large black creepy parasite worm thing that killed like another doctor, and this doctor comes to inspect and figure out what's going on, and this parasite is like running rampant through the castle, and there's like weird villagers, and it's very like insular and cold and creepy, and there's like a scene where the doctor is thinking about cutting his own eye out, or their own eye out, and it's so creepy just thinking about somebody plucking their own eyeball out. I love it. I love it. I need to know how it ends. Really enjoying this. I am going to be reading A Mother Thing by Ainsley Hogarth. I love this cover. And this was sent to me by Vintage Anchor, or Vintage Books, and I thank you so much for sending this to me. This is out now, and Naomi and I wanted to read this together, so I was waiting for her to get a copy. She just got a copy. They sent her a final copy. This is the ARC, and we're going to be reading this together. I'm saving this for like the plane to Spain. That was funny. I didn't mean that to rhyme. I'm saving this for the plane ride to Spain. She's already started it, and she says it's like creepy and funny. And you sold me on like this sort of 1970s, everything's an aspic, like creepy cover vibe. I'm loving it. Looks like every cookbook my mother still owns in her house. And I think this is just about like a creepy, if I remember, it's about like a really creepy mother-in-law. And it's supposed to be dark and funny, and I'm here for it. I am finally going to read Babel this month. I don't think I need to explain to you what Babel is. This is R.F. Kuang's newest book. It has been a smash hit. It's like about the colonialism of language, and it's dark academia, and it's vibes, and it's beautiful, and I'm mad that I didn't invest in any special editions, but your girl's had a lot of bills this year. A lot of bills this year. And this trip to Spain, I have to pay for a vacation, and then I have to pay for my dogs to have a vacation. So like, your girl has no money, but we do need to go back to Spain because I have yet to meet his family, and this is the only way it's happening is if we go to Spain. So this is This is important. Anyway, nothing to do with Babel, but yeah, I'm really excited to finally get to Babel. I'm going to finally read The Good House by Tiana Reid, which is just classic horror that Naomi loved, and I know that this is a much beloved horror writer and story of theirs in particular, and I'll read you a little bit. This is a terrifying story of supernatural suspense as a woman searches for the inherited power that can save her hometown from evil forces. It's a chilling story set in a small town in the Pacific Northwest. The house Angela Toussaint's late grandmother owned is so beloved that the townspeople in Sacagawea, Washington, call it the Good House. But is it? Angela hoped her grandmother's famous healing magic could save her failing marriage while she and her family lived in the old house in the summer of 2001. Instead, an unexpected tragedy ripped Angela's family apart. Now, 2 years later, Angela is moving past her grief and taking control of her life as a talent agent in Los Angeles, and she is finally ready to revisit the rural house she loved so much as a kid. Back in Sacagawea, Angela realizes she hasn't been the only one to suffer a shocking loss. Since she left, there have been more senseless tragedies, and Angela wonders if they could be related somehow. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Super excited. I love like a good creepy house story. My vibes for spooky are gothic. If you can even tangentially touch on gothic, I'm there. I read for the first time ever Howl's Moving Castle, and this is my beautiful Folio Society editions that Jesus got me for Christmas or my birthday. I can't remember, last year. And these are gorgeous. And the story was sweet. And I don't know how I never read these as like a child, or nobody read these to me as a child. I've obviously watched the movie, and like I would maybe say that this is the only time I could think of where I think the movie is better than the book. And that's not to say that I didn't love the book, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the movie might be better. If you disagree or you agree, whatever, let me know. If you've read, and watched, let me know which one you think is better. I'm continuing on with Death Note. That's going to be another book that I read because I have it on my iPad. That'll be like a traveling thing. I'm still on volume 3 because I just haven't picked up my iPad to read. I've been trying to finish a lot of like physical books and audiobooks and stuff. So that's still ongoing and will be like an ongoing thing on my TBR until I'm done, because I just like I get in like a mode where I want to read Death Note and then I read a bunch of volumes and then I like give myself a little break and then I read a bunch of volumes again. I do have one nonfiction on this list, and that's The Facemaker by Lindsay Fitzharris. And this is supposed to be phenomenal, and it's about this physician that sort of pioneered plastic surgery, particularly facial plastic surgery, in the wake of World War I. And I'm finding it really interesting on the heels of Well of Loneliness, because there is a section, it's very brief, but there's a very brief section in the story where our main character is an ambulance driver in France during World War I, and there is some mention of the just horrible disfiguring wounds that the soldiers were coming home with, particularly in their face. So this just sounds really, really fascinating. I've heard really good things, and I'm just very curious about the history of medicine. I find medical history just, I don't know, it does something to me. The gruesome nature of it, the way that you can basically take horror and you can get something good out of it. I feel like this all mixes in very nicely with like my vibes for horror and spooky and all of that. So it seemed like a really good matchup for spooky season. For the Read the Booker book club that Dee Dee Reads is doing, is this month's pick is The Trees by Percival Everett. And I'm really excited for this. When a pair of detectives from the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations arrives in Money, Mississippi to investigate a series of brutal murders, they find at each crime scene an unexpected second dead body, that of a man who resembles Emmett Till. After meeting resistance from the local sheriff, his deputy, the coroner, and a string of racist white townsfolk, the FBI detectives suspect these are killings of retribution. Then they discover eerily similar murders taking place in rapid succession all over the country. The past, it seems, refuses to be buried. The uprising has begun. In this provocative page-turner that takes direct aim at racism and police violence, Percival Everett, which, by the way, is the best name ever, offers a devastating critique of white supremacy and confronts the painful legacy of lynching in the United States. I've had this on my radar for a really long time, and then when it got longlisted for the Booker, I was like, Yes, I believe this is also shortlisted. Yeah, this is shortlisted for the Booker too. So I'm really excited to read this. I'm going to try to make the book discussion for this month, but like she, I'll be in Spain and like eight. It's gonna be like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in Spain when they're doing it. So it's gonna. I might not be awake, but we'll try. We'll try. We'll see if I can do it. On my Kindle, I'm reading. I want to be reading Women Eating, which is sort of like a literary vampire story, but not so on the nose. And it's very short, and I'm very curious about it. It has a fantastic cover, which I'll put up so you can see it. I mean, it is beautiful. It is stunning. I'm loving all these like oil painting inspired sort of covers that have been coming out this year. So this book is Lydia's hungry. She's always wanted to try Japanese food, sashimi, ramen, onigiri with sour plum stuffed inside, the food her Japanese father liked to eat. And then there is bubble tea and iced coffee, ice cream and cake, and foraged herbs and plants and the vegetables grown by the young artists at the London studio space where she's secretly squatting in. But Lydia can't eat any of those things. Her body doesn't work like those of other people. The only thing she can digest is blood, and it turns out that sourcing fresh pig's blood in London, where she's living away from her vampire mother for the first time, is much more difficult than she anticipated. So I know that this has like sort of a discussion on eating disorders, and it just seems like a very interesting way to like look at a vampire story. And I believe she's like half Japanese, and who's like her dad is like human and Japanese, and her mom's a vampire, and I don't think she's Japanese. I think she's British. But it sounds very interesting. I'm curious to see what it's about. I know that it kind of made the rounds very briefly, so it's either going to be a flop or just it was for a very specific audience, and that was not the audience that is kind of mainstream in the bookish social media. So I'm curious to see what this is like. If you've read Women Eating, please let me know how you felt about it. I would like to get to The Woman in the Library by Solari Gentle, and this just sounded really fun. I got this in an unplugged book box. So this is the ornate reading room at the Boston Public Library is quiet until the tranquility is shattered by a woman's terrified scream. Security guards take immediate charge, instructing everyone inside to stay put until the threat is identified and contained. While they wait for the all clear, 4 strangers who'd happened to sit at the same table pass the time in conversation, and friendships are struck. Each has his own reasons for being in the reading room that morning. It just happens that one of them is murder. This is also, I think, going to be like a on the road book because, I mean, it's like a thriller murder library book. Duh. Perfect. I would like to finally read The House of Spirits by Isabel Allende. I think I'm saying that close to correct. So I know this is one of Jesus's mother's favorite authors. I think this is one of Jesus's favorite authors. She is a Spanish author. The House of Spirits brings to life the triumphs and tragedies of 3 generations of the Trubea family. This is an enthralling epic that spans decades and lives, weaving the personal and the political into a universal story of love, magic, and fate. Just sounds like it's going to be a good story. This is like one of those solid classic books that everybody has kind of read or has to read and seems to be much beloved. So I kind of feel like it's time to read it. And what better time to read it than when I'm going to Spain? If I can get to it, I'd like to finally read Jeff Vandermeer's Epicular Peril. This is just a very strange book that I don't know how to even explain. In this strange and wonderful filled epic, Jonathan Lambshead stands to inherit his deceased grandfather's overstuffed mansion, a veritable cabinet of curiosities, once he and 2 classmates catalog its contents. But the 3 soon discover that the house is filled with far more than just oddities. It holds clues linking to an alt-Earth called Aurora, where the notorious English occultist Aleister Crowley has seized power on a magic-fueled rampage across a through-the-looking-glass version of Europe replete with talking animals and vegetables. All I know about Jeff Vandermeer is that his books are weird, and I expect this to not disappoint in the weird department. And I need to know, I bought this a while ago because, I mean, it's stunning. I mean, this is a beaut. This is a beauteous book. I need to know if this is good. I need to finally just try it. I may DNF it. I might finish it. This might be the kind of weird that I love. So we're going to find out. I would really like to read Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. This is a sort of a reimagining of Jane Eyre. I love Jane Eyre. I hope it doesn't disappoint. So this is either going to be banging or this is going to suck so hard, but we'll see. I would like to try to get to this month, finally. I already read these two in preparation for book 3, which is coming out in November, and that is The Marionettes and Wicked Souls by Kate Wismere, who's an independent author, an indie author that I love and support, and I have like all of her books, and I cannot wait for book 3 to come out. This is like, if you want a new, like if you want a vampire series that gives you like Vampire Diaries, like your original OG vampire TV shows and books, those feels. You have a Blood Witch, you have like a Vampire King, you have like things going on that aren't quite right in this like society. There's like a nasty queen, like Vampire Queen. This woman's mom is not very nice. Valerie's mom, I don't really know if I like Valerie's mom. It's a very interesting, fun story. I'm looking forward to the next book. It's just vibes and I love it. My only complaint, the only reason why these are both 4s and not 5 stars is because I just want more smut. I want more smut. That's all I want. This is like no smut. This has like slightly more spice, like you put some salt on it, maybe a dash of pepper, but like I need more. I need you to open that cabinet and I need you to give me some more spice, Katie. I just put it in here. Thank you. The last book on this list, was kindly sent to me by Tor, and that is A Dowry of Blood by, I think it's GT or ST Gibson. I can't find it. I put it to the side so that I would have it for spooky season, and it is beautiful. The Tor edition of this book is stunning. I don't know where it went. I put it somewhere so safe that I cannot find it. I was trying to find, I pulled all the books down for this video this morning, and I cannot find this book anywhere. I think a creature came and stole it. So I just decided to stop looking and we have to film this video. But anyway, Dowry Blood is a reimagining of Dracula, but it's from like a lady's perspective, and it's like the wife of Dracula, I believe, and it's supposed to be very dark and sapphic and just perfection. So I really am excited to read it. I would like to find it. It's here somewhere. So either I'm sure if I put it on the shelves, I didn't alphabetize it correctly, and I can't find it right now. Just scanning the shelves. I mean, there's a lot of books to just like pick out a book that has a black spine and probably white lettering on it. I don't think I just don't think I filed it correctly on the shelves. I will find it. Only I could lose a book in my own house. So that's everything that I hope to get to. That's like where my reading stack for the month of October. I'd love to know what you are trying to read this month. I love spooky books. I love gothic books. I love bone-chilling books. I love just atmospheric vibes in general. So I would love to know all of your little spooky recommendations. Otherwise, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye. So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building